Could you benefit from building supreme confidence? What would change for you if you played your best when under pressure? What's it costing you to not have the confidence, the poise, and skill to execute when your team needs you most? I've created an exclusive training video designed just for you. I outline the 3 critical keys to building unshakable supreme confidence and dominating under pressure. You'll also find out how you can apply these to your career today so that you can start to speed up your results and follow a predictable system to get you to your goals. Go to IMNOTYOU.com/dominate under pressure. You can go ahead and access that free training in less than 2 minutes. You'll be learning exactly what I teach my high-performance professional athletes and clients about what it takes to dominate. Again, IMNOTYOU.com/dominate under pressure.
If you try to get right, then you listen to my dad. He's a beast. And if you don't want to listen to him, okay, you don't want to get successful. If you ain't trying to dominate, man, then go listen to something else.
Welcome, athletes, top performers, and all those looking to gain that killer instinct, that edge you need to dominate in any environment. This is the Sports Motivation Podcast, and I'm your host, Niyi Sobo. I played ball and succeeded at the highest levels, and I'm now committed to showing you how you can accomplish the ambitious goals and visions that you have. This podcast is designed to teach you high-level strategy, not just fluff and hype. This will cut to the core if you let it. And by taking action on the practical and next-level advice I share, you will see results. Expect that. Expect to be more confident. Expect to be more focused. Expect to be more decisive. And expect to be more fearless. Expect to become the leader your vision needs you to become. So listen up. Take notes. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the Sports Motivation Podcast. It's your host, Niyi Sobo. You probably know I played in the NFL. I was a football player. But after I was in the NFL, I became a firefighter. And what I learned as a firefighter was this. Yeah, it matters that you're playing a football team and there's a possibility of losing. But what matters even more is when you're in a situation where you could potentially die. And that's real pressure. So what I'm saying is, I played at a high level in the NFL. I never played an actual playoff game in the NFL or in the Super Bowl. I got released in the middle of the Super Bowl season in my last season in New Orleans. But regular season games are pretty high stakes. It's on television, a lot of people watching, a lot of money involved. It's high stakes, right? And it's natural in high pressure situations to feel some nerves, and it helps to be prepared, of course. It helps to know what you're doing, and it doesn't help or it doesn't feel good when you choke or when you make mistakes, etc., right? But like I said, when I became a firefighter, what I learned is that it kind of puts sports in perspective. And it was like, yo, if I actually make a mistake here on this fire, I could potentially die. Or others could die. I'm responsible for saving others' lives. If I revert back to bad habits, or if I'm not trained up as I'm giving CPR on this lady who just died or just lost, is not breathing, heart's not beating, that's a matter of life and death. And I say that because today's episode is all about how to stay calm in pressure situations. And I've been in a lot of high pressure situations, and I've been in some high pressure situations where I haven't performed that well. And I've also been in some high pressure situations where I have performed well, and I have done what was expected of me and have excelled. And this includes as a football player, and this also includes as a firefighter, all right? And so what I want to do is share with you some very practical things that I have done and still do when I'm in very high pressure situations. All right. Now, what constitutes a high pressure situation? Any game, right, that has big implications. Any speaking engagement. Speaking is something that a lot of people are scared of, and so that's a high pressure situation. In conflict, There's a lot of type of high pressure situations. You name it. You think of when you feel the most pressure. It could be a big test, a big game, whatever it is. But I want to show you some very practical things that I do and that I have done that have helped me out a ton. And when I haven't done them, they haven't helped me out. All right. But before I do it, I want to kind of give you some realities about pressure. All right. Now, a lot of us have this idea that, the best perform their best under pressure. Now, while that is a nice thing to believe, it's not actually true. The reality is that everyone's level of play lowers when they're in high pressure situations. Everyone. There's no exception to that. And what I mean by that is the very nature of pressure, the very nature of having a lot of stakes involved with the outcome. You shouldn't expect to perform your absolute best when it matters most. Now, that doesn't mean that's not a worthy aim to try to aim for. And the stats that prove it, there's a great book called Performing Under Pressure, The Science of Doing Your Best When It Matters Most by Hendrie, Weisinger. But he talks about the statistics of even a guy like Michael Jordan in the end of games. His shooting percentages was way lower than it was at any other time. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't perform his best under pressure or he doesn't perform under pressure. It just doesn't mean that his level of play is not going to be the same, if that makes sense. All right. Now, I hope I'm explaining this in the right way. I don't say that to say that you shouldn't aspire to perform your best under pressure, that's not possible. It's just that it's not likely that that's always going to happen. You should expect that your play is going to lower. And that is why preparation is so important. That's why it's so important to prepare yourself in the best possible way. Because one of the things they always told us as firefighters is that the way you respond, you basically always lower to your highest level of training. Or I think they said the lowest level of training. I can't remember exactly how it goes. But I just heard it again as I was listening to the audiobook, Urban Meyer, Above the Line. Which is like basically you want to train at such a high level so that when you fall back, when your heart rate does speed up, your instincts have been trained properly to perform in the highest pressure situations. All right. What I'm going to break down right now is what you actually do when you're in the high pressure situation, given you've already trained, given you've done all the things that you need to do. So now you're actually in the situation and you feel the pressure. For example, I go through training as a firefighter. I do, all the training props and go through the fire training and putting myself in these protected environments. But now I actually get the call and there's a fire. And we're the first in. That means we're the first engine that's going to arrive. And I'm the guy in the back, the firefighter number one, who's responsible for pulling the hose and putting the fire out. That's a high pressure situation. All right. So let me break down some ways to approach this, and you can apply this to any situation. All right. So the first thing that you must do is you got to breathe. Breathing is critical. All right. And let me explain why. There's a little almond shaped piece in your brain called the amygdala. All right. And the amygdala is responsible for pretty much recording any and all fear responses. Heavily charged emotional responses or memories are recorded in the amygdala. So that means when you were a kid and you put your hand on a burning stove, that experience was recorded in the amygdala. And that is why when you get older and you feel the fire, you feel that fear. It's recorded. Okay. So what happens is when we see something, so for example, when I'm I'm going to put out a fire, I see the fire, immediately the responses in me, it says danger. That's a highly charged emotional experience right there. Fire means death, right? And that as soon as I see that, hear that, feel that, etc., that goes directly to the amygdala. And so what you do when you breathe deep is you pause that response. You pause that response. You pause that signal being sent. And you can actually give yourself some time, buy yourself some time, in order to think rationally, all right? It's one of the reasons why when you're very angry, it's very important to breathe. If you don't breathe, you're going to do things that you later regret. Have you ever done that? Have you ever been in a situation where your instincts completely took over in a negative way? If you breathe, you stop that. So it's very important to breathe. Whenever I would go to a fire, I would always breathe very, very deep the whole way there, the whole time I'm riding there. Because one of the things you'll notice is that when you're scared, when you're stressed out, you don't really breathe. It's almost like we hold our breath. Just watch yourself next time you get scared. When you worry, you don't breathe deep. It's very hard to worry and stress out when you're breathing very, very deep. And the way you breathe deep, if you really want to do it the right way in terms of giving yourself the maximum amount of oxygen to your brain, to your blood, to your body, is to do abdominal or diaphragmatic breathing. All right. And so the way to do that is this, very simple. As you breathe in, most people expand their chest out and put their shoulders out, and they think they're giving themselves maximum oxygen. They're not. All right. The way you want to do is when you breathe in, push your stomach out almost as if you're pretending to be fat. All right. Push your stomach out as you breathe in. And breathe out. Now, what happens when you push your stomach out is you allow your lungs to fully expand. And so your lungs can take in the maximum amount of oxygen and then distribute accordingly. So this is very important. It's very easy to do, but it's something you must practice. And as you get better and better at it, you will do it in high pressure situations and you will feel the tangible effects. If I'm in an argument with my wife, I do this and it helps a lot. All right. When I'm upset at my kids and I'm going to overreact, I breathe. On the way to fires, I do this. I breathe. When I'm getting ready to speak to large crowds, I get nervous. I breathe. Breathing is critical, all right? So that's the first thing you want to do if you want to stay calm in high pressure situations. The next thing you want to do is you want to ask yourself good questions objectively, all right? Now, what this does is this helps to lessen the pressure. When you're in a high pressure situation, it does not help to put more pressure on yourself. So you've probably heard me say when you train, you want to add pressure, right? The whole idea of adding pressure while you train is so that when you actually play and you feel the real inherent pressure in a situation, meaning like there's high stakes, you can lessen it because you've already trained. So when you're actually in the situation, this is when you have to ask yourself good questions, good objective questions that help you to lessen the pressure, not to make it more pressure. You don't want to do that. So a good question to ask is like, okay, what am I really scared of here? Like if you're giving a speech, right? A good thing to ask is like, what am I scared of? You say, well, I'm scared of not doing as well as I want. Okay, that makes sense. Well, how likely is this going to happen? It's not very likely. I mean, I'm prepared. I could mess up, I guess, a little bit. Now, what's the consequences of this? It's not the end of the world. I mean, even if you're playing the game, you're going to lose the game. It's not the end of the world. You're still going to live, right? What deserves my focus right now? Like, meaning what should I be or could I be focused on right now? That would lessen the pressure a little bit. Because at the times we're feeling the most pressure, it's probably because we're focused on some sort of consequence that's not even very likely and not life or death. Now, in the situation of a fire, there is some life or death situations there, right? But do I really need to be scared? I've got my equipment on. I'm very well trained. And then I say, what deserves my focus? And then what is my plan? These are good questions to ask yourself objectively when you're in these high pressure situations. The worst thing you can do is start telling yourself that you shouldn't feel this way. Allow yourself to be honest with yourself about what it is that you feel, what you're scared of. That's also a great way to connect with people, by the way. If you're talking to someone, this is a side note, but this is just like, I guess, an influence tip right here. When you're talking to someone and they're telling you how they feel and you insinuate through your words or responses that they shouldn't feel that way, that makes them clam up and not want to talk to you anymore. That makes them defend themselves. You're not going to influence them. Same thing with yourself. You're not going to influence yourself to feel less pressure if you're making yourself feel bad or guilty for feeling the pressure. Align with yourself, then redirect. All right. So that's next. Ask good questions. The next thing, this is an obvious one, but it's very helpful. I did this a lot as a firefighter, and I still do this. You remind yourself of your training. Remind yourself of how well you're trained. So sometimes when I'm in a coaching scenario that feels high pressure, when I'm in some sort of speaking engagement as well, I remind myself how much I read, how much I speak, how much I coach, how much I practice my craft. And that lessens the pressure for me because it makes me aware that subconsciously I have a lot to draw from. I got full clips ready. Now, if I'm not prepared, then that means I need to do some more preparing, if that makes sense. And that's why you need to add pressure when you're not in high pressure situations. That's why I tell you, one of the reasons why I learn as aggressively as I do is because I feel pressure to deliver for my clients. I feel pressure to deliver for you. So I want to learn as fast as I humanly can. And when it's time for me to deliver, like right now, I don't have to feel pressure because I know what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? And so you remind yourself of your training. It's a very powerful, very effective technique to help lessen the pressure. All right. The next thing, when you're feeling pressure, right, and that pressure starts to lead to stress and overwhelm, that's because you're focused on what you don't want. And that's why this next key is so important, because you want to set the outcome, meaning set a goal for yourself. Set a goal of what it is that you want to accomplish, a very short-term goal. So, for example, I'm in the rig or the fire engine on the way to a fire. My goal is to successfully put out this fire and safely put out this fire. Once I just set that outcome in my mind becomes focused on that. Your mind is like Google. You put a question in, it finds the answer. So the question is, how can I safely put out this fire? I'm going to be searching the database for all the ways I can do that. I'm going to be accessing all the ways that I've trained. I'm going to be asking all the right questions. I'm going to be evaluating the scene in such a way that helps me achieve this outcome. All because I deliberately set an outcome. One of the things I would always do when I was doing personal training with my athletes, and anytime I see one of the athletes that I've ever trained, they always say this is one of the most powerful things that stuck with them, is I would have what I call intentions. Before each workout, we say, what is your intention? Meaning, what is your goal today? What is it that you want to make happen? What do you want to accomplish in this workout? And they say what it is, and then their mind becomes focused on that. It blocks out everything else. We are what we call deletion creatures, meaning we delete everything that we're not focused on at the moment because there's too many potential things that we can focus on. So be deliberate. As you're in the locker room, you're on the free throw. I mean, you're about to shoot a free throw. I would say in my head, my intention is to make this free throw, and then let that intention go, but say it. What that does is give you a point of focus. It says, this is what I'm focused on. Very, very powerful. All right. So focus only on what you want, not what you don't want. When you focus on what you don't want, you're scared, you're stressed, you're fearful. When you focus on what you want, you get renewed energy, you get focus. All right. The next is reset your outcomes. So maybe you hit the free throw, but you still feel some pressure. Well, reset the next outcome. Say, okay, now it's time to get back on defense. Now it's time to lock this dude up. Now it's time to make sure that we get a bucket on this next possession. This is all internally, by the way, self-talk. This is all happening invisibly. This is all happening in the moment. You can do this. You can take control, because if you don't, the situation will take control for you and let you go all off track. But you want to set the outcome, reset it at any point you need to. Constantly be giving yourself a new focus, all right? The next thing is what I call setting your physiology up to win, all right? Now, that means simply doing something with your body that sets you up to win. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean by this. Not everyone, wants to pound their chest and act like they're, King Kong, and that doesn't make them feel confident. You ever see some people before a game? For example, I was one of the people before a game. I like to be very loose. I like to smile. I listen to a lot of music, so I like to laugh. I like to smile. I'm not the dude who needs to be slapped up on the head and like, let's go, mother effer, yeah. That's not my style. I used to get annoyed, actually, when people bang up on my helmet. Like, I'm good, man. Just let me chill. I like to chill, relax. That's what helps get me prepared. And so one of the things that I did a lot, honestly, I did this a ton while I was training as a firefighter, because I was in a lot of situations, honestly, as a firefighter where I was legit scared because I did not know what I was doing. And to me, it was very high pressure because I didn't know what I was doing. And there was some element of embarrassment there. Maybe, it was a lot of stuff there. I mean, imagine just I had no experience at all. So it exposed a lot of insecurities in me. It exposed a lot of weakness in me. It was one of the things actually that helped contribute a lot to the confidence that I have today. But one of the things that I would do a lot is I would smile. I would smile to myself. So, for example, I remember when I was getting ready to do an apparatus operator test. All the chiefs come, and you have to an apparatus operator is the driver, and he's basically responsible for hooking up the water to the fire hydrants and pumping the appropriate amounts of water at the right pressures at the right time. And it's math involved. It's not simple. And so we had to do this in front of all the chiefs, and it's very high pressure. I'm nervous. My heart is beating. One of the things I was doing as I was driving, pulling up to the fire hydrant, as they're all sitting there watching with their sunglasses on, with their red chief rigs, judging me, I'm smiling to myself because smiling puts me at ease. Now, I could have been looking in the mirror like, yeah, it's game time, baby, game time. But that's not what I need to be at my best at that particular moment, at least. There are times when I act like that, and it helps me out in the weight room, etc. But at this particular time, I needed to be at ease. I needed to be comfortable. I needed to be confident. So I smiled to myself. I looked at myself in the mirror and was like, yeah, you ready? All right, let's do this, man. I was calm. I was confident. And that helped me out. That helped lessen the pressure, all right? So that's very powerful. So ask yourself, what ways do you need to position yourself physically in order to feel less pressure? Maybe it's relaxing your shoulders. Maybe it's rubbing your palms together. Whatever it is, make sure that you do it. The next thing is you want to refrain from criticism, all right? You do not criticize yourself at all. This is the worst time to do that. It's already not helpful at all. I don't suggest it anytime. You especially don't do it when you're in a high-pressure situation. It does not help you to beat yourself up and say, why do you feel like this? You should be feeling different. You need to be doing this. You should have been doing that. That type of self-talk has to be eliminated, snipped. It's not helpful, all right? And the last thing is you want to praise yourself. Give yourself gentle, authentic praise, all right? Now, I say gentle because maybe for you it's not gentle. Maybe it's lavish. Maybe it's gassing yourself up, telling yourself you're so awesome. Whatever it is, make sure that it's helping to relax you. It shouldn't be diluting you or making you, not pay attention to the reality, but it should be putting you at a place of ease and confidence, the way you would want to coach you up in a high-pressure situation. What would you want somebody to say to you? I'd want somebody to say to me, it's all good. You got it. You got it. You got it. You know what you're doing, man. You've done this before. Gentle praise. All right? So these things, breathing, asking good questions, reminding yourself of your training, setting outcomes, re-establishing outcomes, setting up your physiology to win, refraining from criticism and praising yourself gently, consistently. These are all things that are going to help you stay calm under pressure situations. This doesn't mean that you're not going to mess up or that you're going to perform your best every time. These are simply strategies to keep you at ease. I suggest you use them. And what I really do suggest is that you approach your training with an intense mindset. Take it very seriously. So that way, when it comes time to ball, when it comes time to perform, you've earned the right to relax. Now, I'm not telling you to be uptight in your training. What I am telling you to do is not to approach training lax. Like, oh, it doesn't matter. And then when it comes time for play the games, now you want to get all hyped up. No, it's the opposite. Approach your trainings with an intense mentality, with the intention to get the most out of each training session, with the intention to put yourself in pressure situations before they arise. And then when they do arise, you can allow yourself to chill. Not chill in the sense of, you know what I mean. You can allow yourself to relax and go after it and get it. All right? Let's go. Thank you for tuning in to the Sports Motivation Podcast. Make sure if you dig in the podcast, go and subscribe so you can always get the latest episodes. I come out with a new episode twice a week on Tuesday and Friday at 3 a.m. Eastern. And make sure you go ahead and rate it and leave me a good review. As always, I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon. Much love.
One of the most common questions I get from athletes all the time is this: what is the single best thing I can do to reach my goals? How can I set myself apart from everybody else? Obviously, there are a lot of things, but the one thing that's helped set me apart was having a coach, a mentor, someone to show me the right strategies and how I need to do things specifically to achieve my results. So you could try to do it on your own, but you'll end up making many mistakes that could have been avoided if you had someone guiding you and coaching you along the way. 99% of athletes in the world have expert coaches to show them the things that they can't see. If you want to work with me as your coach, I want you to go to IMNOTYOU.com/SRC and learn more and sign up for a free coaching session. I'll give you 60 minutes of my time for free, and I can teach you some dynamic strategies, plus show you how you can secure me as your sports results coach. All I ask is that you fit in this criteria. You're serious about your sport, you're willing to invest the time and money, and you have clear goals of taking your game to the next level, or some sort of specific results you want to achieve. This is definitely not for everyone, and I have very limited spots available for this. So, if this applies to you, I want you to take action. Go to IMNOTYOU.com/SRC, and I guarantee you're going to take your game and your career to the next level.